Marius is now just the best player in EU. I don't actually think either of them are in my top 3, if I'm being honest.
If you're dropping 40 bombs and everyone's saying, oh, you're the best fighter in the world, it gives you that level of confidence. You're going into every fight expecting to win.
Something that you had brought up, Reese Hub, that you said you wanted to talk about when it comes to the world of, you know, the solo cash cup 40 bomb race that we had going on. Of course, Peterbot was the first one to do it. And I think the way you put it was like, does it really matter? Like these 40 bombs, like, does it really matter?
I think the way I actually worded it, does anyone care? Which was maybe not which is not actually the right way to put it. I do find one of the things I think really interesting about this is from maybe a grand finals analytical perspective of, you know, you see a lot of people who are raving about Peterbot's best fighter award, and he probably still is the best fighter in any regardless. And again, Marius on this side, you see Swizzy, a lot of other people right now also popping off with like super high solo cash cup wins. And it's great for your like average viewer, because anytime I make a post about Peterbot, about Marius, any of these, obviously like the average fan now has like a way larger appreciation for it. But I want to know if you guys actually think that'll carry over in any way to FNCS grand finals.
I want Harry to cook here. I know Harry.
I see a smile on his face.
Go on.
I mean, do they really matter? To some degree, yeah. I think it helps give the player some level of confidence. If you're dropping 40 bombs and everyone's saying, oh, you're the best fighter in the world, it gives you that level of confidence. You're going into every fight expecting to win. But when it comes to analytical, like actually gameplay wise, not really. Like it doesn't really change anything. Like the whole perception of this player's the best fighter because they can do it in a solo cash cup with top 11k players doesn't mean anything. But then you compare it to who does it in a grand finals, who does it in the top level lobbies where it actually does matter, you know. Like, I don't think it changes my perception on any player at all. Like, really, I don't think it changes how they're doing grands. I don't think it'll change how, like, just anything about their play, about how good they are, to be honest. I just think it's just a bit of fun, nice to watch. Like, oh, he got a 40 bomb. That's pretty cool. And then we move on with our day.
Go ahead.
What were you going to say?
No, go ahead.
I think it's weird because I never had like Fortnite TikToks on my For You page, but anytime I do get them now, it's just flooded with like Peterbot is the best or Peterbot is cheating, and a lot more of it is Peterbot is cheating. And I find it just funny how it's like I think it's cool that we had this whole like 40 bomb race. Like it actually made like the cash cups exciting because like you sort of go into every final like, okay, who's going to do it now? Is it going to be Marius and EU? Is it going to be Peterbot? Would somebody else come out of nowhere and do it? Like, it was like a cool thing. But again, there's the implications that are coming from it are just so like stretched out. It's like you got the whole like conspiracy Peterbot narrative where like, I think what people are saying is basically because he's doing so good in these cash cups, etc. And obviously he's doing really well in actual comp because of Grimgate and all that. Because he's doing so good in that, but he didn't do good online. They're all calling him like a cheater, which is funny. He might just be an onliner, but I guess, you know, onliners always get accused of being cheaters. And then two, it's like, yeah, like these guys are the best players. Like Marius is now just the best player in EU, according to half of TikTok, which is like fair enough. He's been on a very hot streak. I think Marius has been amazing right now. But like Harry's saying, it doesn't necessarily translate into what you see in FNCS final lobby. And I'll tell you what, you know, I can't remember who made this tweet. I think it was one of you who made this tweet, but it's like, if you ask me right now, who are the top 3 people who I want in an FNCS final lobby when it comes to fragging ability or fighting ability, I don't actually think either of them are in my top 3, if I'm being honest. So again, it doesn't necessarily translate. You look at what makes somebody good at, you know, fragging in a finals lobby, a stack set lobby of that nature. Sure, they have a lot of the same things that Peterbot and Marius have, right? When it comes to, you know, fighting fundamentals, right? They understand good angles, they understand good timing, they understand good rhythm, etc., etc., etc. But it doesn't mean that those guys are just, you know, better because they got 40 bombs against like actual AI. Like sometimes you watch these dudes. Like if I was to pull up like the actual footage of some of these of the 40 bomb that Peterbot got, I swear, I'm like, how did these guys call to finals? I don't know. But then I realize, you know, and I look at my friends list and I see like guys like Resubbing and Brute playing, and I'm like, that makes sense.
Hold on.
That's how they
Boop
get
is
into
not
it.
qualified.
no.
Boop did not qualify.
Come on.
Let's just make sure. We've all seen the clips, you know.
Oh my god.
I think there's an interesting point I want to add to what you said there before I want to see what Boop has to say about this. But when your answer, I was going to say, you're sharing now. We're sharing the post. There we go. Get some of these NPCs in. There was a clip. There's one fight in the Duo Cash Cup that him and Poyo was playing where he W-keyed a team, and the team it was like a 1v1, and they literally ran. Like they knew it was them coming, and the comms of the Twitter clip was literally "Run! It's Peterbot and Poyo." like how is this? How bad is the lobby if that's the standard that we're looking at here?
That translates to the pro level as well now, right? Like even the top level pros are absolutely terrified of them. And I think it's an interesting thing because like the perception of a player is super interesting because it shows us how broad the Fortnite community is, right? Fortnite's still the biggest game in the world, I think, I would assume. And like there's so many people that just, you know, consume Fortnite content on TikTok, but that doesn't translate to like Twitch viewers or like competitive viewers and stuff. And all these people, all they get is this echo chamber of, okay, we see this clip. Okay, Marius, he just pooped on Mr. Savage. Oh, and then now Marius, he just dropped the 40 bomb in solo cash cup. Oh, and now Marius, you know, he qualified duo cash cup. And then he got 6th in FNtasia grand finals. All these things stack up together. And if that's your only context, then yeah, it makes sense why everyone thinks you're the best player at that point. But I think that the interesting thing is, and people need to realize, is that in order to be a good player in solo cash cups, you have to have a certain level of playstyle, right? Like you have to be, first of all, a lot more 50-50. Like if you, I watch a lot of solo cash cups, so I see Vico, I think is a very good example of this because Vico used to be like Marius. He's very 50-50. He jumps in your box, full mechanics, very PC, very quick. But now if you watch the way that Vico tries to get like a 20 bomb or a 25 kill win in solo victory cups, it's just, he sits on the right-hand peak, he pickaxes on an angle, ready to reset a wall. He doesn't phase in, he doesn't 50-50 in, he doesn't dash in. And that is an element of a good competitive player. You know, you don't take fights where you're going to die 30-40% of the time. You're taking fights where you're going to win the fight 100% of the time because you shouldn't be dying to a bad player most of the time, you know? You don't want to end up like Flixie versus Boop in OG Fortnite. You know, so.
I played a tournament. I played a duo cash cup with Vico, and what you just said is extremely true. He plays like a competitive grand finals player, the most reliable fighter. It's not that he's going to do what Marius or Peterbot does, and yeah, he could probably in a sense and try to W key, jump into the box, take risky plays, but like he's not gonna. He's going to take a good angle. He's going to play it slow, play it fight, and make sure he wins because that's what actually matters, rather than dropping the high limb game. So that's why I kind of agree that I'm not necessarily sure a carryover. Usually, what I think of when I see these massive high limb games, the good performances in cash cups, performance evals, anything, is that it's just like a marker for potential, you know, where you see, if I see someone dropping 41 elims, I'm like, okay, this guy probably, you know, he could probably fight. Even if it's against drones, I'm just like, this guy could probably fight somewhere. But then how can you translate those skills over into a high skilled lobby where you have to worry about so many other factors? You can't just run around sprinting around in the open trying to fight people. You know, there's angles to cover, there's much better players that'll spray you at the same time. So I think they're interesting on the whole, but yeah, I don't necessarily know how much it'll carry over to grand finals.
So you're not buying into the hype is what I'm hearing.
No, but I'll make content about it to buy into it.
I mean, you can just pretend like you have that opinion so that, you know, the views will follow most of the time.
No. I made the video on Marius covering because I think what's interesting about, you know, obviously, Levin, you were talking about the cheating thing. I think what's always I find really interesting about when people give these guys cheating accusations is that if you watch their gameplay, they're good at so many things that aren't cheating. Like, you know, if you watch Thomas HD play, for example, right? Everyone, you know, for a long time, a few years ago, everyone was saying his aim was so good, he's cheating. But if you watch like the fundamentals of his editing, the angles he takes, like there's so many other things he does that's just so good. And now when you watch Peterbot and Marius, like there's so many mechanical things they do that are just, you can't cheat those. There's just no way that you could ever cheat those things. So like, how is it out of the question to the average person that if they have such high skill in all of these other areas, that maybe their aim's that good as well? Maybe they're just not cheating overall, you know?
I think the problem is a lot of the casuals can't appreciate those things.
Yeah, definitely.
So like they'll just never get that, right?
Yeah.
So like Peterbot will forever just be a cheater until he does something good on LAN, you know?
Yeah.
basically.
I mean, that's
Which
what we
does
all
feel a
think.
bit old school.
Yeah.
But that does feel a bit old school with esports, though, right? Because like you look at a lot of other esports, it's like if you are an onliner, like instantly you get like cheating accusations in most like esports where like LANs are more consistent. I guess just we got so accustomed to everything being online, and now that we do have a couple LANs, people are going, "Hold on a minute,
Yeah.
you stink on LAN." What's going on here?
I don't think we've been in Fortnite long enough to give LAN the true weighting of like you suck on your online, or all that matters is LAN.
I think we've been in Fortnite long enough. We just haven't had enough LANs.
Yes,
No.
yeah, that's kind of.
So we need more LANs, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Two LANs,
Mid-year LAN.
Yeah.
I wanted to quickly ask, like, how long do you think this hype lasts with 40, 50 bombs? Like, where does it go? Like, after this season, after Peterbot getting a 41, is it just keeps going until, like, next season, and the season after, and the season after? Because I swear, once it gets to a certain point, people aren't going to care anymore, because people are going to be getting 40 bombs. And
it is entirely meta dependent. I think the meta last season and the medallion changes, it was like the perfect mix and perfect storm of things adapting to where it is possible to absolutely wipe out a lobby, being able to heal up your shield, getting Siphon back now. Like I do think this Siphon medallion plus dash medallion is easier now to get kills than the old first medallion where Peter dropped 39 elims in. I don't know if everyone has that opinion, but I think it is easier because you have Siphon, you get the shield back and see any of the dashes go on the map. So until Epic has a meta where it's slower or there's a lot more movement, because we've had 2 back-to-back no movement-ish metas where these poor North American children cannot run away from big bad Peterbot. So it'll be until they change the metas. And once we reach, I'm actually curious, what do you guys think the cap is on kills? Like, what is the top?
Well, in the week before Peter got the 40, Marius looked like he was on for a 50.
Yeah.
He was on like 25.
Insane.
There was like 40 players left. He looked like he was on for a 50. Genuinely, it was something more than that. But either way, it's like, I do think like the 50 probably is possible. But I don't think we have many like cash cups left, right? Until like the season changes. No, we got like 1 in 2 weeks. And then how long after that is the season over? I'm not sure. I don't think there's.
Let's see.
I think we have 43 days or something left of the season, I think.
Yeah, I don't know.
If there's
many.
2 left.
So there's 2 left. I don't think we'll get it in the 2 left. Maybe we get like a 45. It's weird though, because it's one of those things, and I think I saw Ozzy talking about it. It's like the 4-minute mouthing, right? Where it's like one person did it, and then it was like the floodgates open because everyone realized, oh shit, like we can do this now. And I think in the last 2 we'll see a couple more 40s. And I do think the 50 is possible. And I think if you gave it enough time, we'd have one person hit the 50 and then a bunch of people start hitting the 50s. I just don't think we have enough time to reach that point. So
I think it's just like the least impressive solo cash cup meta ever.
Yeah.
And in particular for dropping if you're a pro player, this is the easiest meta for you ever to try and earn in. And same thing goes with like dropping high elim games. Like especially if you're NA, because NA has like their qualification numbers don't make sense.
I'm not
just shitting on NA again.
Yeah, I was going to say we're living up to our
European
European bias.
Exactly. No, this is not European. If you look at like the number of participants in comparison to like how many people qual, it's like I think statistically the worst region of players, right? And then so they've got that. They've got the players with like awful ping because of like the NA split. You've got the meta where Peterbot's an insane fighter, 0 ping running through everyone with all of the medallions. It's like it's the perfect storm of like reasons, so you could probably drop plus 40 kill games. After the season, I think you're right. It's like unless the meta is something totally ridiculous, I highly doubt we're gonna see like a 40 plus next season.
Yeah. I mean, it is about that standard being set, right? Like Levin said, like someone reaches that threshold, it's gonna open the floodgates. The thing is, it's a new thing in EU now because last season a few people attempted it, and Marius I think attempted it off stream. Flixie ended up getting the highest with 37, but it is actually pretty. At least from my opinion, I think it's disappointing how little EU players actually try, and actually how many people in NA Central also actively try. Like realistically, like $100 is a good amount of money, but like the amount of content and the absolute growth you can get from dropping these bombs is insane. It's unparalleled. It's a hack to get 1,000 average viewers, 2,000 average viewers during every single solo cash cup is drop a 40 kill win. It's insane. And the fact that more people haven't capitalized on it, when we have people complaining about how much UFN map makers make every single month. It's a lot of Fortnite players are dumb in that aspect.
Do you think they could actually do it though? Do you think a lot of these people who are just complaining about it actually have the ability to drop like a high 30s, low 40 game? Because you've seen a couple like Swizzy, but like Swizzy is nuts, and he's always been nuts. You know, like the people who are doing it have always been like the super successful WKer types. So like, do you think all these people who you think are not capitalizing on it could actually do it if they tried?
Well, there's a few names that pop to mind that go through it, and they probably could. I'm on the boat that I think that like the top level of Fortnite pros, aka the top 25 players, are so far beyond the average Fortnite player, it's impossible for them to actively die to someone in a solo cash cup unless they run into a decent-ish player. But like the level these guys are at, I think that most people should be able to drop 20 with ease, and then 40 plus might not be possible, but it's still better content than you sitting in the cone the whole time. Like let's be honest.
No, I agree, but at the end of the, as you said, like I think most pros could do it, but I don't think it's actually as many as we think. I don't think it's like there's 100, 200 people who could easily do it. It's like 20 maybe who could easily drop a 40 bomb without really worrying at all. But I don't know. It makes solo cash ups a little bit more interesting to watch from a viewer's perspective, but it doesn't change anything when it comes to how good a player is. To be honest, it's just true. They're just good fighters against bad players. It's just pretty easy for them.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair.